Hey there, this is Dan from the Purple Golf Academy, and today we've got the swing of Dustin Johnson to take a look at. One of the favourites for the Masters this week, and surely someone who's going to go well around there with his power game. So let's take a look at his golf swing and see what goes on in there and what makes him such a long hitter and such an accurate hitter as well. This is a guy who can knock a 7-iron almost 200 yards, so anytime you can do that, you're going to be overpowering a lot of golf courses. But recently at Doral, he was even in the top 5 in driving accuracy. So if you're hitting the ball as long as he is and with that kind of accuracy, if you can roll it well on the greens, then you are going to be a match for anyone. So definitely one to watch this week at the Masters. So it's got an interesting swing, one or two unusual things, and one or two things which are very, very interesting and very good to copy as well. So let's take him back here to his address position. We'll take a look. We'll take a look at the angles that he creates here at address. Pretty classic. He's got good weight distribution here. For a tall guy, he gets down nicely at address. So he's got good leg flex. He's got his backside nicely out behind his heels here. But he's also got good forward tilt in the spine, so he's nicely out over the ball. He's not back on his heels, he's up on the balls of his feet. So a good athletic position, and again, as you see in most top players, the arms nicely away from the body there, not tucked under the body, but a nice bit of space there and freedom for those arms to move. So a good looking setup position, actually, very classic, and nothing really to comment too much on there, except for of course that Dustin has quite an unusual grip, and that's one of the idiosyncrasies of his swing, is his grip position. But we'll see in a moment in his swing what impact that has. So good setup. Let's take a look at this first move that he has here, because from down the line, very, very interesting first move. If you take the time to analyse Butch Harmon's students, you'll find this is a very common look with a lot of the guys that he works with. And I'll just pop a couple more lines on here on his head and explain what I mean there. Now, what Harmon tends to teach to his students is keeping the arms out in front of the body. So what you tend to find in this first move is that the butt of the club comes away from the body, and the club goes up outside the plane line. Now you'll see that here with Dustin. At this point here, his hands have moved considerably away from this starting line, the shaft plane line, and the club shaft is up outside that line. That's classic of Harm. That's what Tiger used to be doing in 2000. That's what Adam Scott does in his golf swing. And the other element to that sort of pushing away of the hands is that the head tends to back away from its starting position. So if you look at the head here in this first move, he has this distinct sort of backing away look. And if you were to put that side by side with Adam Scott there, you'd see virtually no difference between those takeaways. Very, very similar, very classic of Harmon, getting that club up in front of the body in that first move. You know, it has its benefits, but also anytime your head is backing away from this starting line here, you're gonna have to do something to adjust for that. In fact, what Dustin does in the second half of his backswing is that he in the takeaway, he gets his head back to here, but actually as he gets to the top, he settles back forward again, and he gets back on that starting line. So actually does a good job there of recovering his balance at the top of the swing. If you look at his right hip, you can see he's settling into his right hip. That's now further back behind him than it was at address, and his head has gone down, and his head's actually back on that starting line. So what that means is he's still balanced, but he's just compressed his weight down into the ground. That means his feet are fully loaded at the top here, and he's ready to really jump off that right foot and fire in the downswing. That's a real good source of power, and you'll see that in a lot of power hitters. You'll see this right hip tends to ease back behind them. Excuse me. That right hip eases back behind them in the downswing, in the backswing, and the head gets lower in this backswing as well, so that they're more compressed into the ground. You wouldn't want to see this head tipping forwards towards the ball at this point. That would cause him some problems. So it's good to see that his head remains on that starting line. But the other thing that you see with Dustin Johnson here, which is quite unusual, is this left wrist position at the top. Very, very arched here, as a product of that slightly strong and unusual grip that he has at address. And that means at the top there, that club face is going to be very, very shut, and that left wrist in a kind of locked position. And also, coupled with that, the left arm here is in quite a steep position. If you look at some other players, more kind of on-plane backswings, you'll see that left arm in a more shallow position, kind of matching the shoulder plane at the top, and the hands a bit deeper. With Dustin here at the top, you see his hands are a lot higher at the top. And if you just roll the face-on clip to the top, you can see how high his hands are there at the top. So again, a couple of things there that are a bit unusual, but the key to it is the body positioning at the top. That's what allows him to be so dynamic in the downswing. So if you mark the top of his head position there at the top of the backswing, and then look at where he gets to halfway down, you can see just how much he's lowered again there into the ground. And if you look at his spine angle now compared to where it was at address, you can see he's really, really compressed down into the ground. He's gone more forward, but his backside is back out behind him, so he's not moving into the ball, he's just compressing downwards into the ground. That again is a real key to his power. If you just look at how athletic his body looks here, what good angles he's got there. Very similar to the angles that Tiger Woods creates in his downswing, which again is a huge source of power. So that first move down is it's almost like squatting. The backside stays out behind him, and the head just falls down but does not move forward towards the ball. And that's an absolute key. What you'll find in a lot of players is certainly this backside wants to shoot in towards the ball as you start down, and what that does is it forces the chest up, which drops the arms generally in behind the body and makes it a much less powerful downswing. If you can maintain that backside out behind you whilst keeping that chest nicely down in the backswing, you'll find it's a lot easier to create the power, and you'll have that room to fire the body through impact and fire those arms. What we see here is Dustin there gets his arms back out in front of him, and has plenty of room here to fire that right side into the ball. Right side's working nicely down the target line. But what we do find with him is that his hands come in a lot higher than where they were at address here. That club shaft's considerably higher at impact than it was at address, and that's simply a product of that kind of left wrist position at the top here. Because of that locked out left wrist, it means that he's really de-lofting the club coming into the ball, and hence his hands have to come in a lot higher. So a slightly more complicated release there because of that grip, but what that does mean is that Dustin's able to really maintain the lag. You can see it here in the face-on clip just how much lag he's maintaining there, and you can it's amazing actually. You don't see many players at impact that have a look where their left wrist is so far ahead of the ball. I mean, Sergio Garcia is one person who does it similarly, but even through the ball here, amazing the angle that Dustin creates there between the club shaft and the left arm. You do not see many players that sort of sustain that wrist angle through impact for as long as he's able to. So that's actually an indicator of why he's so accurate. He doesn't release or roll the wrist through impact at all, which means that club face stays very square through impact. So it's an excellent source of power, an excellent source of accuracy as well for Dustin. So no wonder he's hitting 7 irons 200 yards, because he's de-lofting them that much. He's turning them into 5 and 4 irons. So I'd imagine he requires quite a bit of loft on his driver to be able to get the optimal launch angle. When you're de-lofting by that amount, you do not need to be having a 7-degree driver, that's for sure. If we take a look at this swing from the face-on angle, again we can see nice and centered at address here, and the right hip nicely inside the right heel there, which is something you'd want to look for if you want to be able to make a good turn. Good width in the arms and the backswing here, and the hips stay nice and quiet actually. Very quiet leg action from face on here with Dustin Johnson. Not a huge hip turn by any means, but a big shoulder turn. As we already mentioned, the hands get quite high here at the top. So if you want to see a power move here from the top, take a look at this leg action from Johnson and just how much his left hip will do as he starts down. So I've marked on there his left hip at the start of the downswing. As he starts down, really gets into his left side with his hips there. Big strong lower body movement and a huge lowering as well there, with the head actually not moving towards the target, which is a very important thing to notice there. So his head staying very centered, it's just lowering as he starts down, and then bang, that wrist cock unleashes at the last minute to create that incredibly compressive strike through the ball. And you see with Johnson here, his left leg remains quite quiet through impact, which is a sign that he really posts his left side early, and then has that real deep set of the wrist, which he maintains through the impact area there to create all that power. So he's really kind of cracking the whip against that left side, which is how he creates so much power. So very interesting swing. Real power hitter Johnson, and it's very interesting to see how he achieves that. But the most important thing that we can learn from this swing is the way that he maintains those angles. He keeps his hips back behind him and his chest down over the ball, and that's what really allows him to really fire down the target line and be so accurate. So look out for him this week at the Masters. I'm sure he's going to go well. Real horse for course around there. He's done well in the past at Augusta, and I expect him to be up there in the top 5 come Sunday afternoon. So hope everyone's enjoyed that and taken some things that they can use in their own swing. And if anyone needs any help with their game, then please pop along to purplegolf.com/academy, and we'd love to help you out for a lesson.